realities and vibrant stories of youth and farmers across diverse regions, while giving an overview of how of what young farmers and young entrepreneurs, what's their perception when it comes to pressing climate challenges and issues, and of course also socioeconomic conundrums around food systems today. Through our session, we will also try to spotlight the innovative solutions, community-led solutions, and of course nature-based solutions that are driving transformation within local food systems, as well as underlining the wonderful and key role that youth and gender, youth and women play in these community-led and local projects and initiatives. And of course acknowledging both their contributions and the systemic and the work they do to face these systemic barriers. Hence, we will talk about concrete actions, concrete steps and initiatives that our speakers know about and will talk about within their communities, but also highlighting how youth and women are leaders, are drivers of change within such wonderful projects and initiatives. I hope you can all hear me, even though it's raining, it's pouring. But without further ado, I would like to kick off our session by quickly introducing the wonderful panel, the wonderful speakers we have today. So we have a very rich agenda. We will start with Christian. Christian is an Ecuadorian climate diplomacy international development expert with over 10 years of experience spanning human rights, climate action, and sustainable development. He currently serves as Climate and Biodiversity Officer at the World Rural Forum, which is a global network representing over 75 million family farmers across 90 countries. Christian will quickly introduce and expand a bit and talk about the Action Food Hub Consortium, especially considering that this is our opening plenary session. Then we will hand over the floor to Esther. Esther Penunia. Esther is the Secretary General of the Asian Farmers Association for Sustainable Rural Development, AFA. AFA is a regional alliance of 24 national farmers organizations across 16 Asian countries, representing 13 million small-scale farmers, fishers, and indigenous peoples. It is also worth mentioning that AFA is a member of the International Steering Committee of the UN Decade of Family Farming, the World Rural Forum, of course, and the Agroecology Coalition. We will then hand over the floor to Nella. Nella is our youth speaker today. She's a young advocate for soil health, food sovereignty, and alternative economic systems. She is part of and kickstarted Save the Soil movement initially through her role as elected Students' Union President at the University of Stirling. Today, she's the regional youth coordinator, and she focuses on youth mobilization and policy engagement for soil restoration and regenerative agriculture. Thank you for joining us, Nella. Finally, our two last speakers, I have the pleasure to introduce Malengani Chico. He's a Zambian economist and social entrepreneur, passionate about creating positive change in low-income communities. He works in the Ministry of Finance and leads AgSafe, which is a fintech initiative enhancing climate resilience and financial access for smallholder farmers through digital savings and training. So that's very interesting, and we will hear more from Chico in a minute. And finally, we have our indigenous peoples representatives, Yvonne. Yvonne is a young Quechua indigenous woman from the Ecuadorian Amazon. She currently leads the technical team of the Wiñac Agro Artisanal Association. Wiñac is an organization that supports more than 4,000 indigenous farming families in Napo, Ecuador. So thank you so much for joining us, speakers. A big round of applause for our speakers today. Wonderful. So without further ado, and in the interest of time, I would like to start with Christian, as I mentioned. So Christian, tell us a bit more about the consortium, right? Its members and its works, especially as I said, considering that this is the opening plenary session. Please, Christian.
Hello. Okay, thank you, Eduardo, and thank you to the people that are joining us today. I am really proud and honored to be in this panel with you, talking this afternoon. And to respond to your question, Edo, I think when it comes to mind, it's like why voices of the land? Well, who are the voices that we usually listen to when we're talking about climate action? Sometimes it's scientists, sometimes it's business leaders, sometimes it's policymakers. But what about the people who are doing this work every day, who have a relationship to the land, who understand about the relationship, the soil health, not from textbooks or from, but because they've built a relationship with their environment that kind of provides for their communities and livelihoods. And I think that question is what brings us here today, is because we want to have a conversation about the lived experiences, about how people are managing in the different parts of the world, in the territory level, to adapt to climate change, to respond to the climate catastrophes that are coming every now and then. And we wanted to have this space built both by youth organizations to cultivate the next generation of farmers, and also from the people who are nurturing all of us. Family farming globally produces over 80% of all of our food and manages over 80% of all agricultural farmland. Achieving a lot of what's happening in these rooms these days cannot be achieved without farmers, having them at the table. So today we're not just going to be talking about the problems that we're all facing. We want to showcase your solutions. We want to showcase and listen to the things that you want to share. How are your lived experiences informing what should be decided at the other rooms in the negotiations? So thank you so much for coming to us and for coming to this first plenary session of the Youth and Farmers Co-host. The name is still a bit complicated to me, but thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, I hope that we have a very fruitful conversation.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you for that overview and introduction, a wonderful introduction. I just wanted to tell everyone, especially considering that it's pouring outside, if you're having issues hearing very well, I think you can use the headset. So please feel free to use the headsets that you have on your seats, so that you can hear the channel is the channel number 3, C3. So that's the channel. Okay. So thank you for that. Just FYI, in case you're struggling as I am a bit because of the rain. Wonderful. Moving on. Let's go to our next speaker, Esther. We heard. I briefly introduced Esther, so you know where Esther is coming from. And Esther, I just have one quick question for you. So from your lived experience, I would like you to share one concrete case where a farmer organization co-governed financing and co-designed also the implementation with government, buyers, and lenders. And what made this inclusive, especially when we think about and when we talk about youth and women, what's the single most transferable lesson, in your opinion, for scaling farmer-led, nature-positive finance across Asia? Thank you, Esther. You can go ahead.
Thank you for the question, Eduardo. Maybe you would know the Global Agriculture Food Security Program, or GAPSP. It's a financing facility that was started in 2010, and many donor governments have put in money in 2010 as a response to the food crisis that happened in 2008. No? And now, after more than 10 years of GAPSP, now this financing facility is giving direct access to finance to family farmers organizations through a window called producer-led track, producer organization-led track. And two of our members from Laos and from Kyrgyzstan are recipients and implementors of this grant. And these two of our members involve family farmers, women, men, and youth. And how do they involve the women and the youth? Basically of three main strategies. First, the Lao and Kyrgyz members organize the women members and young farmer members. They organize them into national committees. Okay, so they have their own space for designing their activities and their projects, as well as they have their own governance process. So second, we help to build their capacities, especially on agroecology and also on agri enterprises. How to make value addition from their products, for example, or how to package their products, or how to sell their products in the market. So this kind of know-how. And the third is, what we do is to have knowledge exchange amongst themselves. So the knowledge exchange can be on two things. First is the usual, learning exchange. We gather them, or we capture videos and put them in the website, and the videos are translated into the languages of the 22 other members, because in Asia, one country, one language. So we have to translate it in each language. But the other thing, the other way of disseminating is through contests and games. So for the women, for example, we had a video contest on forgotten foods. How do you use a local forgotten food as an ingredient in a nutritious dish? For the young farmers, we conducted our first Asia-Pacific Young Farmers Camp and Agri-Olympics. So it was like Olympics, but agri-style. Like who can climb the highest coconut pole? Or who can husk the fastest coconut meat? Or who can plant the fastest seedlings in a seedling box? So this kind of games, but not only games, but also interactive laboratories. We partnered with the University of College of Forestry in Los Baños to provide learning exchanges on, for example, how to do A-frame for your alley cropping, how to do tissue culture, how to do in agroecology or integrated farming, and the like. So we are replicating this first Asia-Pacific Camp and Agri-Olympics at the national level, and we are doing the second one in Fiji next year. So if you would like to visit our website, asianfarmers.org, to hear the video of our song on the Young Farmers Camp and Agri-Olympics, please, you are very much welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. This is wonderful intervention, and thank you for sharing that with us. I'm just thinking out loud. So capacity building, investing in capacity building, but also translation services and communication, and of course promoting these wonderful initiatives and projects and unique projects as the Agri-Olympics. Which sounds super fun, and I invite you to please go and visit the website, because it sounds super interesting, super fun, especially the video contests, right? And the talents that the farmers who are part of the association have. Okay, thank you again so much, Esther. That was wonderful. Let's move to our next speaker, our youth speaker, Nela. So Nela, just one quick question for you. So considering the passing of the new EU soil monitoring law, for example, and Save Soil's role in driving global policy, so considering these two things, we know that today soil health is rising on the agendas, right? But this sometimes, often in practice, lags and you have other issues. So I would like you to focus on talking about what's happening in your territory. So what most blocks healthy soils from becoming the organizing principle of climate, nature, food decisions? How are young farmers and women, so again, youth and women here, already leading soil-centered solutions on the ground, and what support would let them scale, in your opinion? Please, Nela.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope it's fine. I will go a little bit onto Save Soil as a global movement, and then say particularly my role and as a youth person. So basically, we're a global movement that is trying to raise awareness around the critical issue of soil degradation and desertification. So I'm coming from Spain, and this year we've had really, really terrible wildfires, one of the worst in the history, and also very crazy floods events that are inherently related to climate change, yet not sufficient people are speaking about the critical role that soil has as a carbon sink or to mitigate the effects of climate change. So today, just to put things in context, if we would want to have the same nutrients we would have back in the day from a single orange, today we would have to consume 9 oranges just to get the same nutrients. So this is no longer just about the planet and biodiversity, it's also about human health. So yeah, we're as a global movement working with 3 major verticals. So the big thing that we're doing is pushing for policy advocacy. So recently, as it's been mentioned, the EU soil monitoring law was passed, and we had a critical role in this in terms of providing policy inputs for this. But this is only the next step, right? Because soil monitoring law, you cannot fix something if you cannot even monitor in it. So this is a wonderful step, but then the next step, obviously, it's implementation. Now, we're here at the implementation COP, so I think this is going to be very important to follow up with the governments, to follow up with everyone that is putting the policy structure in place to be able to support farmers and put them at the forefront. Because really, I know that in Europe, we're becoming increasingly aware that we need to protect and restore soil. Yet there is a little push for all of those financial mechanisms that are going to eventually support farmers. And as it's been mentioned, like we need to also be able to, empower each other in knowledge share. So, for example, in South India, we have helped and empowered 250,000 farmers to transition from conventional agriculture to regenerative agriculture. And how we've done this is by just establishing that relationship with them and helping them step by step and see and track that actually eventually these kind of methods are going to be helpful for the land, and for they will also bring socio-economic benefits for them. So in that sense, within Europe, I see a little bit of a fragmentation within the European structure, but also the national, local entities that are able to deliver this. And I think it's also important to just be able to frame soil as the solution for climate change, and not only as a resource that we can use for growing our food. And I think in that sense, we also need to connect more with the land as such, and be able to feel what it needs. And I think what it's telling us ultimately, especially because of the lack of awareness, I think that is also a critical issue in Europe, that we don't really know the level of the urgency of the situation. So more than half of European soils are actually considered unhealthy. So I think if we really knew about this, we would move forward towards protecting them. So yeah, I mean, the policy team from Save Soil and me as a youth representative, we're very happy that we have, and also be part of the global youth.
For climate change is key and would help us, advance this item on the global agenda, and hopefully COP, as you said, the implementation COP. So we will see great results. So moving on, our next speaker, Chico. I just have one question for you, Chico. So, the Ban Ki-moon Center Youth Agri Champions, which you're a part of, they call for easier access to climate finance. So, in your opinion, if you could remove one procedural hurdle tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow, it's up to you, to unlock funding for a youth-led agroecology project, what would it be, and who needs to change it? Go ahead. Thank you. Please, Nela, give him the microphone. Go ahead.
Well, I'll start off by saying procedure is hard to change, so I would need more time than tomorrow. But, okay, wow, that's a tricky one. I think one procedure ahead of which I would look to relax, I think is the financial requirements surrounding access to climate finance. Let me give context on like the problem that exists right now. So you find that you've got hundreds, thousands of youth-led agroecology projects which are operating on the ground, be it in Zambia, be it in Brazil. Now the challenge which is there is that oftentimes climate funds would require certain fiduciary requirements, 2 to 3 years of financial transactions, procurement processes in place. You'd look like a solid governance structure which is in place as well as a fiscal sponsor, sometimes from an accredited agency is required from that. So the challenge with this is that because of all these requirements, you'd find that maybe even up to 70% of youth-led enterprises are alienated from climate finance, not because they don't have merit, no, but because most youth-led enterprises in terms of agroecology are early stage. So the current status quo which is there of having so many fiduciary requirements might not be necessary, and it's something that needs reform to change and something that can be changed. So the proposal is that we shift towards an oversight mechanism which is financially based to one which is more performance based. So for example, youth-led agroecology projects are at different stages. You can have one at pilot stage, one at growth stage, one at scale or industrial stage. Each stage of the projects can have milestones. For a pilot stage, it just needs a concept or community-based validation. For a growth stage, of course, you need to set some milestones, track record, as well as hectareage planted. And for an industrial stage, maybe that might need machinery and equipment. But those milestones can be put in place in order to ensure that those requirements are relaxed as well as those are met. But that's also combined with other things. I think there's more that can be done in terms of, let's say, enabling youth to access direct access windows. I'll give context on this. So a lot of climate finance is centered around institutions or accredited ones, be it multilateral banks or accredited organizations. So I think because a lot of youths have to get the climate funds through an accredited agency, you'd find that they are doing the work but not in control of the resources. So they're basically subcontractors on their own projects. So I think that dynamic has to be looked at. You find that within these organizations, especially the risk and climate teams, certain reforms have to happen to start shifting towards a more performance-based outlook and a relaxation of the rules to enable direct access to climate funds. So this can look like, for instance, over and above the accreditation, you can put youth-led agroecology products like on an accreditation track, and you can also create direct access windows so that youths don't have to be reliant on established institutions to access these climate funds. So I think these are some of the things that can be done. Over and above that, I do think that from the perspective of youth-led enterprises, it's important to meet these institutional reforms halfway. So I work with AgSave. a fintech that enables access to finance for smallholder farmers through savings and credit. And we worked with MasterCard on our pilot in Zambia. Now, what we're trying to do is to build a credit risk registry in order to create a financial identity for farmers. What this would do, it will enable farmers to access alternative credit. We've seen instances where farmers are able to use, let's say, mobile money transaction histories to access alternative finance. So these are just some of the things that can be done. There's a lot more, but off the top of my head, two things. Shifting from financially requirements to a performance-based model, as well as to create direct access windows for youth to access climate funds.
Thank you, Chico. Indeed, that's food for thought, right? So shifting, a major shift from overcomplicated financial requirements to performance-based, right? And that's the number you gave us, 70% of youth-led agricultural enterprises are alienated. So that's super interesting, right? And that shows that there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. So thank you very much for that, Chico. And again, food for thought. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to our last speaker, Yvonne. So Yvonne, I will ask you, so we're going to have translation. Michelle, please. Chico, could you give two mics to both of them? If you could pass another mic. Thank you. So Yvonne, I'm going to ask you the question in English first, and then in Spanish later, and then you. So I'll ask the question in Spanish. It's fine. Okay. So the question I'm about to ask Yvonne is the following. So Yvonne, from your experience leading the WINAC team of the Agro-Artisanal Association, which I mentioned earlier while I was introducing her, right? Which agroecological practice or community solution has had, in your opinion, the greatest impact at the climate-nature-food nexus, thus improving soil, but also income and biodiversity at the same time? So what's that community solution, in your opinion? And what concrete commitment in terms of policy, in terms of funding, do you think would let you scale up without losing territorial governance or the leadership of women and youth? So this is the question I'm about to ask her. I'm just going to ask her in Spanish for her information. Entonces, Yvonne, la pregunta es la siguiente. Desde tu experiencia al frente del equipo técnico de la Asociación Agroartesanal de WINAC, ¿me puedes decir qué práctica agroecológica o solución comunitaria ha generado, en tu opinión, mayor impacto en el nexo clima, naturaleza, alimentos, mejorando al mismo tiempo suelos, ingresos y biodiversidad? Y otra preguntita, ¿qué compromiso concreto, en tu opinión, permitiría escalarle sin perder la gobernanza territorial ni el liderazgo de las mujeres y de los jóvenes? Por favor.
Ali Chishi.
You're welcome.
Ali
Go ahead.
Chishi, buenas tardes. Bueno, primero que nada también estoy aquí en representación de la Alianza Global, que está presente en 24 países. Uno de ellos es Ecuador, donde está mi organización.
Good evening. I'm here. Good afternoon. I'm here in representation of the Global Alliance of Territorial Communities, which represents indigenous in the organization and local communities in 24 countries around the world.
Bueno, desde WINAC estamos acompañando a más de 4,000 familias productoras, y estas familias, y bueno, en general en toda la Amazonía, nosotros tenemos un sistema de producción sostenible que venimos practicándolo ya hace muchos años. Este sistema, pues es muy lo contrario del monocultivo. Tenemos diversidad de cultivos.
We have been working with 4,000 indigenous producers in the Ecuadorian Amazon, but we have been working for years and centuries with a particular production system, and this system is on the opposite of the present cultivation systems, is based on diversity.
Aquí en la chacra no solamente vamos a encontrar productos para la comercialización, también tenemos productos para alimentarnos, productos que utilizamos para rituales, productos que utilizamos para la medicina, en fin, tenemos infinidad, hay productos maderables, productos ornamentales.
In the chakra cultivation system, we do have products for our food. Also, we have products for to sell, but we also have products for rituals. We also have products, medicinal products, and it's a diversity of products that coexist in the same plot called the chakra amazónica.
Entonces, la chacra no solo combina la conservación de la biodiversidad, la soberanía alimentaria y la producción agroecológica.
So the chakra combines biodiversity and agrobiodiversity, food sovereignty, and conservation.
Además que este sistema también fortalece el rol principal de las mujeres y de los jóvenes. ¿Por qué de las mujeres? Porque somos las mujeres, allá en mi país llamamos en nuestro idioma las chagramamas, quienes gestionamos y gerenciamos nuestra chacra.
So in my country, it's especially women that cultivate these chakras. They're called the chagramamas, the mothers of chakras. And so that's why this chakra system empowers women and youth.
Ahora bien, quiero dar un pequeño ejemplo de cómo en mi organización estamos haciendo la inclusión de mujeres y jóvenes. Nosotros tenemos un programa muy bonito que se llama Mi Primera Chacra. Entonces aquí estamos empezando, es un programa piloto muy pequeñito con 31 personas que son jóvenes y ya tienen su cultivo de cacao. Y está ya encaminado hacia una comercialización con un cliente que precisamente tiene esa responsabilidad social, ambiental y económica.
So, for example, we already, as WINAC organization, we have a small program called My First Chakra, which is oriented towards youth, and so they have it's for the youth to have their own first chakra. With small cocoa plantation, and there is already one, with only 21 person. 31 young people already cultivating these first chakras, and there is already a buyer that buys especially this cocoa from these chakras because they have that social responsibility.
Ahora bien, había una segunda pregunta. Entonces, dentro de la segunda pregunta, pienso que primero es importante reconocer y posicionar a la chacra amazónica. En mi país mismo no saben qué es chacra. Entonces, eso es penoso porque el sistema chacra ya tiene un reconocimiento internacional en el CIPAM, que es el sistema importante de patrimonio agrícola mundial, y en mi provincia ya está avanzada en una ordenanza, pero como país no conocen qué es chacra.
So answering your second question, I think one of the most important things is to acknowledge the chakra as an important production system. Actually, in my country, this chakra system is not really recognized at state level, even if at the province level we have now a special recognition and a regulation around that. But the chakra system is already recognized at a global level as an important production system, part of global heritage or something like that.
Ahora, otro aspecto importante también es la compra y o el consumo responsable. ¿Por qué? Porque necesitamos compradores que respeten, que valoren nuestra forma de vida, nuestro sistema de producción, y de que no solamente se se fije en los precios que están en las bolsas de valores, sino de que realmente mire el esfuerzo que se hace en la comunidad para tener un producto procesado. Y bueno, ahora ventajosamente tenemos por ahí un par de mercaditos, pero necesitamos más porque en la comunidad hay que seguir mejorando, conservando, pero también mejorando su calidad de vida, y eso se logra a través de la comercialización de los productos de la chacra.
The second thing is that we need responsible or educated buyers that are able to recognize that this chakra system has an added value. So we need more committed buyers. Presently we have already 2 markets, but they are still small and there is room to grow.
Y el último aspecto importante que pienso yo y que también es muy importante es el tema de canalizar el financiamiento directo. En mi organización ya estamos exportando, pero necesitamos mejorar nuestros procesos de transformación, necesitamos financiamiento directo a mi organización para poder implementar máquinas, y la implementación de máquinas también nos lleva a la innovación, y ahí es donde también estamos muy presentes los jóvenes. En mi organización me complace siempre decir esto, ¿no? Ahora somos, creo que el 60% ya estamos solamente jóvenes, hay un equilibrio entre las personas más adultas que vienen a tener la experiencia y la juventud que estamos con hambre de seguir progresando.
De todos los productores o de todo el equipo. Okay, so the third and final thing is access to direct finance, because as we need and we need this finance because we need, for example, to invest in some machinery, because we process, for example, the guayusa leaf or even the cacao. So we need to invest in new machines, and also we need these machines and innovation, because we are innovating in our transformation system. And I'm very happy to also tell you that in our organization and in the technical team, we are already 60% of youth and also 60% of women. So we are taking over this as an organization, which is managed, as you can see, by youth indigenous technical team, is also Quechua indigenous-led team.
Así que por último solamente quiero hacer una invitación a todos para que apoyemos estas iniciativas y permitamos o aseguremos que las soluciones realmente estén en las manos de quienes estamos cultivando la tierra de manera responsable. Solamente así vamos a tener un futuro mejor.
So just a final call to make sure that all these solutions will be supported. We will support people that are really working the land. So that's where the solutions lie, and we need more support for them. Thank you.
Y en mi idioma Ashka Pagrachu, muchas gracias.
Ashka Pagrachu, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. Can you hear me? Hello, yes. Thank you very much, Yvonne. Thank you for sharing that. It's impressive how the key role that youth and women play in your community, of course. And thank you for mentioning the Chakra Mama, Mi Primera Chakra Mama project, which sees a lot of young professionals and young farmers involved in working in cocoa plantations, and of course when it comes to commitments, responsible buyers, responsible consumption, and direct finance are key. So thank you very much for sharing that, and for your closing remarks. So we've heard from our speakers. We heard concrete examples of youth-led, youth-focused projects and initiatives that are driving change and are changing local food systems and more. And we heard some wonderful concrete examples, and I'm sure you have a lot of food for thought. I would like to, kick off a very quick Q&A session because we have time. We still have 5 minutes. So we have time for 1 or 2 questions. So I'm just opening the floor and asking our participants if anyone has a question he or she would like to ask our speakers. If not, I would like to, thank our speakers and close the session. But please go ahead and let us know. Oh, you had 2 questions. Okay, but you can go first. Then Bianca, you go second. You go first. Yes. Yeah. Just give us a second. We're microphone on the way. Careful. Could you come closer? Yeah. Thank you. Just thank you.
Thank you very much for the session. It was very interesting, and this is the kind of section I think we need as also for our youth and also for the negotiators. I want to ask you for the whole team about 2 things, the main things. For Lena, I'm also from Portugal, so we suffer from the desertification and for the fires. So what do you think it's very important? Because what I realize is that, as you said, that the youth doesn't have the relationship with the earth that indigenous people have. So what do you think it could be done by now, as your experience, to build this, to reconnect our generation with the earth? Because we know that we are very separate from the earth rhythm. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Nela, you want to take that question? Oh, okay, yeah. Second question. Go ahead.
Yes,
Sorry.
I might just start because it's really connected, my question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, to all speakers, how do you
Just Bianca,
involve...
wait a second.
You can hear me?
Could we increase the volume of your
Yeah.
mic?
Okay, I have to be
Thank
closer. But yeah, anyway, I just want to know, how do you involve young people who are outside of the bubble of agriculture? How do you get, how do you reach out to them, for example, in your projects? Who are the ones that you reach out to? How you attract them to these projects? I don't know if it's clear. Thanks.
Thank you, Bianca. Thank you for the questions. Please, Nela, you want to go ahead and then pass over the mic to other speakers?
Thank you. I think I'll address both questions quickly. So I think definitely we need to engage more with people that are directly in touch with the soil itself, because as urban youth, urban exodus is a big thing. People are moving from rural areas to cities. So especially young people are missing that connection with the thing that is providing nutrition to making us alive, providing us with life. So, I love to learn more personally from indigenous leaders themselves, from the land, because at the end of the day, they have been working with the soil sustainably for so many years. This is not a new strategy for sustainability or meeting the climate goals. This is their mainstream lifestyle back in the day, that comes from generations apart. So many of the techniques we're promoting at Save Soil actually are already implemented by many other organizations movements and leaders from Global South specifically. And in particular related to the other questions for our project. So we would love to engage more with young people, and we're trying to reach out to different networks and try to do presentations on Save Soil and just to raise awareness. So yeah, please reach out, and we would love to connect. And I'll pass on to...
Yes, whoever wants to, if any of our speakers want to add anything, a comment, or I think Yvonne wants to speak. Please, Yvonne. Just very quick, just keep it under the minute if you can.
Bueno, para conectar a más jóvenes, lo primero que tenemos que hacer es demostrar que realmente la agricultura da sostenibilidad. Y para los jóvenes que no están en nuestro territorio, por así decirlo, entonces tenemos que crear más de este tipo de espacios, donde lleguemos técnicos desde el territorio a contar qué es lo que estamos haciendo para que, por ejemplo, como el programa Mi Primera Chacra en Ecuador, sea replicado en otros países. Eso por un lado. Y por el otro lado, chiquito. Y por el otro lado, iniciar desde la familia. Aquí conversaba con Michelle, decíamos, ¿por qué no hacer camping? Ahí conectamos con la naturaleza. ¿Por qué no ver la cultura de nuestro país? Ahí conectamos también con la naturaleza. Recordemos que todos estamos enraizados a nuestros ancestros, así que por ese lado va. Creo que respondo ahí las dos preguntas. Gracias.
Wonderful.
Creo que respondo ahí las dos preguntas. Gracias.
Wonderful. I don't know if you want to translate that real quick.
Real quick, she mentioned that first, one of the main strengths of Wiñac is demonstrating that there is an economic future for producers. So working the land provides livelihoods. That's important, but also connected with the culture. And they, as she already mentioned, she mentioned again their program My First Chakra, which is especially designed to support young people to begin in agriculture. So that's, and finally she said, it's also very important to promote that in the families, to the families remind the young people about their roots and their connection to land. Thank you.
Wonderful. One last minute, super short comment from Esther, and then we're done.
Our members are young farmers. So as farmers, they are connected to the land. Actually, our problem is how can we keep them to stay on the land? Because they want to go out. Their mindset is going out. Why? Because they see the farm as not earning a living. They have no livelihoods and no life in the rural area. So how can we let them stay there? It's basically giving them a mindset and letting them see that farming can earn. Farming can give dignified lives. Farming can make money so that they can give their children an education and a good life. And so that means letting them first see that farmers can earn, okay? And letting them have that capacity and letting them see that there is importance and significance in farming, especially if you do agroecology, because you farm not only to have a living, but you farm because you are taking care of the planet Earth, not only for yourself, not only for your children, but also for your grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, and everyone.
Thank you so much, Esther. Big round of applause for our speakers. And I'm afraid we have to close here. Thank you so much, speakers, for this insightful, remarkable panel and wonderful discussion. And thank you all for coming and joining us. Thank you. Speakers, please, a quick picture, quick photo.